And a lot of it is often born from struggle, limited resources, and sometimes a rejection of accountability. And the accountability aspect is important because when black people are constantly boxed into a certain identity by the world, but especially by each other, it creates a mental and cultural trap, which is ironic because, you know, that kind of makes me think about trap music and the fact that trap music is a thing. Because when you really think about the name, it sounds like the soundtrack for a lifestyle designed to keep you stuck, trapped in survival mode.
Nigga, stop talking about black music. Stop talking about black music, bro. Because you can't sit here as a fucking dude who doesn't live in America, judging black Americans while enriching yourself off of black American culture, enriching yourself off of hip hop. You can't do that, bro. You cannot do that. This is diabolical. Black Fatigue, Why We're Tired of Ghetto Culture, video by BlackySpeakz. So, it sounds like this video is going to go in a pretty coonish direction. Let's see.
Hey man, it's getting spooky. I just came across something called Black Fatigue, and basically it's white Americans are sick of our shit.
I got news for you. Black Americans are sick of your shit. Black people are sick of black people's shit.
Basically, society is saying that they're tired of how black people are blaming things that have happened to us historically in the past, and they are also now adding different things that they have seen in society to that behavior as well, like loud mouthing or maybe, you know, using certain words or certain behaviors in public. Black
fatigue seems to be growing, especially within the black community. There's a growing frustration within certain behaviors.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna go in a pretty coonish direction. Okay.
And more people are starting to speak up about it.
White people, black people, Hispanic people are saying we have black fatigue because of the behavior of some black people.
It's not racist to call black people out for their behavior and what they're doing to society at this moment. I'm glad people are noticing this because it's been so many years and it's finally catching up to y'all.
So many years and it's finally catching up to y'all? What do you mean y'all? Who is y'all? Aren't you y'all? Aren't you black? Interesting.
Is there some truth to it, or is it just another form of racism? And how come so many black people are starting
it's racism for sure. That's all it is.
To speak up about this now? Either way, we got a lot to talk about today. Now, black fatigue is a growing term in the social media world, a phrase that's meant to explain a rising frustration, dissatisfaction, and even resentment towards a small portion of the black community and some of the dysfunctional behaviors that are increasingly being called out. But here's the thing, this isn't a new term. The phrase black fatigue was originally coined in 2020.
Do we get to have white fatigue for all the white people that do evil things and make life harder for everybody, like fucking the elites, people who bank executives, like the guys who caused the 2008 crash? What about the white people that shoot up schools and Walmarts and shit like that? Do we get to have white fatigue for that small portion? What about all the white opioid addicts out there? Do we get to have white fatigue for all of them? No, I'm sure we don't.
By Mary Frances Winters, a black author from New York. She was inspired to explore the concept after hearing the same phrase come up again and again from black millennials. I'm tired, they kept on saying. The exhaustion wasn't just physical, it ran deep, tied to emotion, history, and identity. In her book, Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit, she explains that the original meaning of the term was about the centuries-long toll of the systematic racism passed down through generations. Now that was the original definition, but now the term has taken on a completely new meaning.
Ain't that's some white shit if I've never fucking seen it, dude. A term created by a black woman to describe the exhaustion that black people may feel as a result of their heritage, their ancestry, and the trauma and the burdens that have come along with that. White people took that term and you turned it into a dog whistle to use against black people.
To black fatigue, it has recently been turned into a feeling that some white and black people have who say they are damn tired of foolishness of some black people.
It is a completely behavior-based issue. And
then why are you calling it black fatigue? Do all black people operate in this way that you're supposedly tired of? And understand, the word fatigue would imply that you've been doing something. You've been exercising some degree of effort to earn your exhaustion, but you have done nothing but stand by the wayside and live your life. And these black people more than likely you don't interact with them at all. You think this white woman here who looks the way she looks is interacting with ghetto black people on a daily basis in such a way where they're also bothering her? I go to Walmart often, and I live in the Walmart I go to is frequented by people who clearly live in lower income communities, usually people of color, but also poor whites as well. And I'll tell you what, none of them ever fucking bothered me. Not the poor blacks, not the poor Mexicans, not the poor Indians, and not the poor white people. Turns out most people, regardless of their class or race, just mind their fucking business all day. And so in the off chance that this white woman ever has to interact with somebody from a lower income community who likes to drink fucking brown liquor and turn up at a nice little function and maybe smoke a Black and Mild, and maybe has a few tattoos or sags his pants or has a nice collection of Jordans, or she wears a weave, and have long fingernails, guess what? More than likely they don't fucking bother you like how they don't fucking bother anybody. Okay? So who are these people that are exhausting you? They don't exist. You don't interact with them. You're just being racist for no reason.
White people, black people, Hispanic people are saying we have black fatigue because of the behavior of some black people. We've all seen it. We all know what it is. It's everywhere.
You've seen it. It's everywhere. I live in a very black community. I don't fucking experience that shit. I don't experience black people causing me a problem.
There are thousands of TikToks on it, posts all over X, YouTube videos, and even some mainstream outlets starting to cover it. I only started hearing about this term very recently, and at first I assumed it was mostly coming from people outside the black community, but to my surprise, a large portion of the conversation is actually being led by black people, and that's when I knew that I had to do my own research by looking into this and sharing my take on it with you. Many of the most viral TikToks on this topic.
Now, this guy's an immigrant. I don't even think he lives in America.
Topics are coming from.
So he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
In the community itself.
Black fatigue is real. Everybody is tired of black people, but it's two specific types of black people that everyone is tired of. Number one, everybody is tired of loud, ghetto, and ratchet, and violent, and mean, and angry all the time. Everybody is tired of them. Nobody wants to deal with them. Even other black people do not want to deal with these people. You know when you see them in public, you know when they're going to give you...
Look at this nigga walking around. Look at the people walking by. This guy lives in a white community around white people. He don't know what he talking about. I want to go through your day today and tell me when you become a victim of black fatigue. When does some random black woman get in your face and start being loud and rude and mean and angry to you? That shit ain't happening to you.
Attitude at the CVS, everybody knows it and they want to avoid it.
So how did we even get here? The answer to this can go in a few different directions, but let's talk about the most impactful factor of this being the media. We're talking viral body cam footage of police encounters involving black people to Dine and Dash stories that reinforce negative stereotypes.
Surveillance cameras caught 3 people leaving without paying a $200 bill for a shrimp and lobster dinner, according to the owners.
Or the countless of
okay, so I guess white people don't dine and dash.
Fights, whether it's on a street corner or inside a McDonald's. The majority of these clips tend to feature people who, look like me, and they also seem to go viral, often shaping how outsiders view blackness as a whole. This type of content has definitely influenced how a lot of people, white, Hispanic, or even black folks, view the culture. Unfortunately, over time, it's helped reinforce harmful narratives, and in many cases has been used to normalize different forms of racism. And let's be clear, we all understand that none of the reactions rooted in these stereotypes are justified, because it's not fair or accurate to take the behavior of a few and apply it to an entire group. However, when certain behavior...
Yeah, and I can find you mad videos of white people in Seattle and fucking San Francisco doing the same shit at a CVS. Okay.
Are caught on camera and go viral over and over and over again, they unfortunately start to paint an image of the entire community based on a handful of viral clips. Not because they reflect us, because obviously, I'm not on that. If you're black, you're probably not on this. At the end of the day, though, all the viral content is based on real situations that happened in the real world. Now let's take a closer look at...
Yeah, okay. So I agree with that this stuff is amplified and promoted to serve as propaganda to paint the black community negatively in a... it's misrepresenting the black community. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. But if you're a black person and you recognize that, how could you ever then engage with this black fatigue narrative? It's all fabricated.
some of the real-world examples that have been fueling these conversations, starting with the Dine and Dash incidents. Now, during the pandemic, or should I say the bandemic, you know, in 2020, when the stimmy checks, okay, the band started hitting people's accounts.
Look, those aren't American dollars. This nigga ain't even fucking in America. He ain't even a immigrant living in America.
And everybody started acting like Black Youngster when he first signed his record deal. Yes, the pandemic, the bandemic. Your money. We started seeing more of these so-called Dine and Dash videos pop up.
We've all heard of dining and dashing. That's when a customer comes into a restaurant, grabs a bite to eat, and then skips out on the bill, leaving the restaurant without paying.
For all my international viewers, Dine and Dash is when people go to a restaurant, stuff their greedy bellies with food, drinks, and all that you can possibly eat, and then
what do you mean people do that everywhere? Everywhere people do that. There isn't a place where there are restaurants where people don't do that. Unless there are some very incredibly strict laws in place that punish people severely for doing things like that.
They leave and they don't pay a single dime. This phenomenon or crime has always existed, but it became increasingly common in America after the pandemic.
They watched as the party of 7 sat at their table, their food already packaged into go boxes. Then they began to get up and eventually run out the restaurant's door, leaving their $200 bill unpaid.
So these clips of large groups walking out without paying began to go viral after 2020. And as it relates to the topic at hand, unfortunately, the majority of the people in those videos were Black, and that obviously makes us look very bad. Now, is it all Black folks? Of course not, because we're not a monolith. The behavior of one...
Not only that, but how many Black people are eating at restaurants every day? So how many of these videos can you find? Now, how many millions of Black people dine at restaurants every day? And then how many videos of other people doing it aren't getting pushed and made viral, right?
Individual doesn't mean the next person is going to show up in the same way, so applying that assumption broadly would be inaccurate. I mean, if you're Black, if you're watching this, I'm sure we're probably going to relate, but I would personally never go to a restaurant if I knew that my account was empty. I mean, at that point, we're having sleep for dinner because we're grown, okay? However, with that being said, one thing I've consistently heard from a lot of...
This nigga ain't never had sleep for dinner in his life.
My friends in the service industry, I'm talking waiters and waitresses and even restaurant managers, is that Black customers are the hardest to serve. Now, this has not only been said by all races of people, but I'm saying like other Black folks in the service industry are saying this, okay? Whether it's not tipping, sending food back too often, or asking for refunds after they've ate, it's often said that those things are more common among Black customers. So that's the perception a lot of people in the service industry have of us, which is very unfortunate and it's very sad. I mean, it's not a comfortable thing to acknowledge or even talk about. I hate the fact that some people might expect a certain type of behavior of people who look like me as soon as, let's say, we might step into a spot, right? And all.
Why are what are you talking about? You don't live in America. What are you talking about? You've never experienced that.
Although, you know, the stereotype doesn't obviously apply to all Black people like me or you. I can't, if you're Black, that is. If you're white, then obviously.
I get amazing customer service regardless of whatever restaurant I go to. Black, white, Mexican, I never feel as if the servers are... I don't give a fuck. You're projecting onto them. You're projecting onto them that they feel a certain way about you just because you're Black. It's not true. You're making that up in your mind. You're buying into the racist propaganda. And are there some servers that might feel that way? Sure, and fuck them. I don't give a fuck. They still don't treat me any differently, you know? So why worry about it?
Talking about you, right? I can't ignore the experiences they've shared with me. Now let's dive into the Dine and Dash stuff a little more, because speaking of a particular incident, which was one of the news stories I played you earlier, it went viral a few weeks ago. A Black-owned restaurant in Chicago called Flav's served 3 people, 2 women and a man, all Black, and they decided to run up a tab of over $200 of shrimp and lobster, okay, and a bunch of drinks too, and then they decided to run out the spot.
It's actually disappointing. You know, it's very disappointing to see that from the community that we actually serve, because we pour into our community. We're a small business, and I see this happening so often to a lot of different small businesses throughout the city.
Now, I'm not saying that doing this to other groups of people, regardless of race, is okay, but it's extremely sad that this was Black folks doing this to other Black folks. The young woman, the waitress.
Why? Why is it extremely sad that it's Black folks doing it to other Black folks? People commit crimes within their communities all the time. White people steal from white people. Asian people steal from Asian people. Mexican people steal from Mexican people.
It was Wednesday evening around 6:30 at the Shogun restaurant on Madison Avenue when a man ran up a $400 dinner tab and then allegedly ran out without paying. This video, captured by the Lark Tavern surveillance camera next door, shows the man carrying 2 takeout bags, approached by Shogun employees looking for their money. Punches were thrown. Punches landed. Bystanders joined in. In fact, one woman walking her dog deployed pepper spray on the fleeing food fighter. Unfortunately, one of the punches landed especially hard on the forehead of a Shogun employee.
Okay, I'm not saying that it's justified or it's okay, but I promise you, it's not rich black people doing this shit. It's not even middle class black people doing this shit. It's poor, broke black people. It's poor, broke, everybody doing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Now, another story that went viral, again, featuring black folks. Absolutely hate the fact that we're getting this type of PR, but it is what it is, right? This story involved 3 black women, once again, in Chicago.
So why are you amplifying it? Why are you amplifying it if you know that other communities commit these crimes as well and they're not getting amplified? Why are you amplifying it then?
Can somebody tell me what's in the water in Chicago with all these incidents happening? The audacity of this particular story is next level, because these 3 women didn't only dine and dash after a $262 bill, they were also caught in 4K, strike number 1.
The 3 women from Rochester, New York visited Soul Vibes in the Near North neighborhood to celebrate a birthday and left behind a surprise, an unpaid tab of over $200.
When a man ran up a $400 dinner tab and then allegedly ran out.
They also made a reservation with their names, phone numbers, and personal info, strike number 2.
They were spotted on surveillance, leaving one by one within 30 seconds of the server stepping away. They also forgot that they signed up on the wait list before being seated, including their name and phone number.
And strike number 3 is that they actually went on social media and they thanked a black-owned business for the free food that they stole, right? And that's how they ended up getting caught.
It's a showdown between a restaurant manager and a customer he's accusing of not paying for her beer.
Please pay.
Behalf. The video was posted on Facebook.
And to add insult to injury, they posted this onto social media, thanking the restaurant for the free food while laughing at waitstaff like Chloe Jackson.
And that's nasty, and that's bullshit, and it's fucked up, and it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? But why are you using this to push this idea of black fatigue? I'm black. I don't do this shit. See, if you want to call this poor ghetto fatigue, then okay, now we're making progress. But here's the reason why they don't do that, and the reason they opt for the more racist term of black fatigue. Because 1, they're fucking racist, and 2, if we start calling it ghetto fatigue, well, then the conversation will then arise. Okay, so why are people in the ghetto doing this? Oh, because they're poor and poorly educated. Oh, why are they poor and poorly educated? Oh, now we got to talk about history. Now we got to talk about the deindustrialization that destroyed black families financially in the 1970s and 80s, and how we're still feeling the ripple effects of that. How the war on drugs and hard on crime bills that were passed by Nixon and then made worse by guys like Reagan and Clinton, how they disproportionately targeted black communities for using less drugs and punish them harder. Yes, that's right, less drugs and punish them harder. For instance, let's look at the crack epidemic, as they like to call it. Well, turns out that historically black people have used less cocaine than white people. That's right, there's an epidemic, but the people who it's associated with use less of the drug. Historically, you can fact check this. Go to ChatGPT, look this shit up. White people have historically, in the past and still today, used more cocaine than black people. That's right, in 5 grams of crack, you have less cocaine than 5 grams of cocaine, obviously. But yet, during the war on drugs campaign, you guess what? 5 grams of crack will get you 5 years in prison. In order to get 5 years in prison for cocaine, which is the form of the substance that was primarily used by white people, and white people use plenty of crack too, don't get me wrong, but you would need 500 grams of cocaine. Check that out. 500 grams of cocaine would make almost 1,000 grams. You could get almost 1,000 grams of crack out of that. 5 grams of crack, look how fucked up this is, would get you more or the same prison time as having the equivalent amount of cocaine required to make 1,000 grams of crack. And it's the cocaine that gets you high, that's it, not the shit they add to it to turn it into a smokable substance known as crack cocaine. So white people were using cocaine more than the black community. Of course, the black community turned it into crack, a weaker, more affordable substance that can be smoked, and then they get punished harder for it. Made that make sense? we would have to talk about all of that if we started calling it ghetto fatigue, right? So let's just call it black fatigue. Make it race-based. Make it racial. I'm tired of black people. You don't hear that? You don't see what you're doing? You're making it okay for white people to say, we're tired of black people. You're a black person. I'm a black person. That's a racist term because I ain't doing shit. But they don't want to make it specific because if you make it specific, we got to talk about white supremacy.
Fatigue with what often is called ghetto culture. And ghetto culture is not black culture, nor is it foundational.
Yes, it is. Ghetto culture is a part of black culture. Why? Because they're black people. And why is it a part of black culture? Why did it exist? Why did it arise? And first and foremost, not all of it is bad. Just because it's not European doesn't mean it's bad. Being loud isn't bad. There are plenty of cultures that are loud that aren't perceived as bad. For instance, like I said, my wife is half Korean and her Korean side of the family is very Korean. And I've had the privilege to go and visit and spend time with them. Lovely people. They're fucking loud, dude. I grew up in Jamaica. We have a very large Chinese population. One of my closest cousins, who was like a big sister to me, she married a Chinese man who moved to Jamaica as a child from China. His parents are all fucking Chinese as fuck. Dude speaks Chinese. But he also has an incredibly thick Jamaican accent. It's the most fucking mind-blowing thing you'll ever see, dude. This guy will go from speaking Chinese to his parents to being, you know, sounding way more Jamaican than I fucking do. You know what I'm saying? Real yachty. You know what I mean? No, they make a lot of those noises. Fucking at the dinner table,
Black
bro.
American culture.
Be at the fucking restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. You know, they're loud. But it's not bad because they're not black. Right? There's nothing bad about the way black people dance, about the way we talk, about the way we dress. It's just because it's not white. And so it's bad.
When I say the word culture, by the way, I mean it in the actual definition. And the definition is the shared attitudes, behaviors, and values of a specific group of people. This isn't about race. It's a mindset that anyone can adopt.
Then why are you calling it black? Why are you calling it black fatigue if it's not about race? It's racist.
Regardless of a racial background. With that being said, I've seen this kind of behavior from white folks, Hispanic folks, and black folks, of course. So it's not about skin color.
So why are you calling it black fatigue? Why are you calling it black fatigue then? Why are you co-signing that if you're saying you've seen this behavior from all kinds of people?
About class, environment, and ultimately how someone chooses to carry themselves. Because the way you choose to walk through this life, your demeanor, your energy, that's not only something you can control, but it is a conscious decision. We all have a choice in how we show up. So when I mention ghetto culture, I'm not talking about blackness. I'm talking about a specific pattern of behavior, which is undoubtedly dysfunctional and not a productive way of showing.
And it is a part of black culture. It is not all of black culture, but it is a part of black culture. And trying to villainize the people who are the result of essentially being the least fortunate of us all, right? The people who came from the most unfortunate family background in terms of oppression and opportunities and being victims of racism and all kinds of fucking bullshit. You're going to now turn around as being, well, not even you, because you're not even here, dude. You're not even fucking here. But anybody who is here and engages in that shit, you're going to turn around and look down upon the people who are just the least fortunate. That's all the only difference between them and you. If you were born in that environment, that's exactly who you would fucking be. And you're a fucking like psycho if you think otherwise. How do you know that? Because you believe that good parenting matters. Why does good parenting matter?
And a lot of it is often born from struggle, limited resources, and sometimes a rejection of accountability. And the accountability aspect is important because when black people are constantly boxed into a certain identity by the world, but especially by each other, it creates a mental and cultural trap, which is ironic because, you know, that kind of makes me think about trap music and the fact that trap music is a thing. Because when you really think about the name, it sounds like the soundtrack for a lifestyle designed to keep you stuck, trapped in survival mode.
Nigga, stop talking about black music. Stop talking about black music, bro. Because you can't sit here as a fucking dude who doesn't live in America, judging black Americans while enriching yourself off of black American culture, enriching yourself off of hip hop. You can't do that, bro. You cannot do that. This is diabolical. You're a foreign man in a foreign land looking down upon a people that you are then using the shit they make to get rich, dude. Oy, oy, oy. Look, I've watched plenty of BlackySpeakz, and I understand why immigrants and foreigners, they don't get it because they don't know Black American history. But then you bend the knee and you succumb to the pressures of racism because you give a fuck about what other people think about you. Nigga, that's their problem. That's their problem. If you, as a white man, want to look at all Black people a certain way because of the behavior of a few Black people that then gets amplified online, then that's your fucking problem, dude. You're not gonna get me to switch up on my people. That's your problem. That's a you issue. And the way you perceive me, I don't give a fuck. That don't got shit to do with me.
Trap music, trapped in dysfunction, and ultimately trapped in the lower levels of society. And often when a Black person within the community wants to grow, like they make a decision to actually grow or take a responsibility or move differently, they're met with pushback from their own people. They get told things like, you think you're better than us, or that's not how we do things. A lot of my Black folks, I'm sure y'all can relate to.
No, I can't at all, ever. When has that ever happened to you? Where a Black person seen you reading a book and be like, oh, you think you better than this? Now, if you act pretentious, then yeah, niggas will say that shit to you. Niggas will say that shit to you. You know, this imagery that there's this just gang of Black kids rolling around neighborhoods, smacking math books out of little Black boys' hands is just it's fucking bullshit, dude. It's just more racist propaganda.
Exactly what I'm talking about right now. Elevating beyond who you used to be becomes a problem, and sticking with what you know becomes the norm, even if it means staying stuck in pain or dysfunction down the line. And the question is, why is this accountability issue even a thing in the first place, specifically within parts of the Black community in America? Understanding this is not about making excuses, by the way, because we do have to acknowledge the subconscious effect of generations of instability and what it really does to people. When you grow up in environments where poverty is the norm, where instability is constant and neglect is a part of daily life, what happens is certain mindsets start to form. You learn to cut corners because survival starts to feel more important than structure, and you begin to distrust institutions, which, to be fair,
survival is more important than structure. Survival doesn't feel more important than structure. It is more important than structure. I promise you, if you were starving to death and you had the opportunity to steal some food, you're stealing that fucking food, dude. Once you get desperate enough, you will do that. That's why people eat food out of the garbage. Nobody wants to eat food out of the garbage, but if you get hungry enough, you have no other choice, you will eat food out of the garbage. I will, you will, everybody will. That's what starving people do.
People in America have had valid reasons to distrust for a long time. You feel like the world around you has failed you, and that leads to behaviors rooted in avoidance, rebellion, and sometimes hopelessness. During the Jim Crow era, Black people were stripped of opportunity, education, protection, and dignity. Entire communities were locked out of wealth building and basic rights, and that creates a ripple effect. When generation after generation is forced to adapt just to survive, it plants the seed for behaviors rooted in survival over structure. So right now we're talking about the psychological and subconscious effect of what's happened in history, but even with all that context, okay, with all that being said, I want to make something very clear. At the end of the day, how you show up in public spaces, and like we touched on earlier, ghetto culture and Black culture are not the same thing.
Bro, it is a statistical fact that more poverty equals more crime. That is a fact, bro. That is a fact. You cannot get away from that. And so you got to ask yourself, why does the wealth gap exist between the Black and white community?
Or not isn't about slavery or Jim Crow. It's about personal accountability. Whether you're white, Black, Latino, Asian, purple, green, I don't care, blue. The truth is, people from all backgrounds are tired of ghetto culture. And like we touched on earlier, ghetto culture and Black culture are not the same thing. They've been falsely lumped together, especially by the entertainment industry, in order to sell an image, but they're not synonymous, and they are not the same thing. What's really...
Again, they are. Yes, they are. They're not, you know, ghetto Black culture isn't all of Black culture, but is a part of Black culture, and it is evidence of our history. There's some good aspects of it. There's some bad aspects of it, right? But it is evidence of what happens to a group of people when you put their ancestors through the shit that you do. White America does not want to take responsibility for that. There has not been a single government program that has ever been implemented that The sole purpose of it was addressing the oppression, the racism, the violence that has been committed against black people. We've had affirmative action. We've had DEI in both of those situations, and we've had welfare. All of these things historically have always benefited primarily white women. They have always been the primary beneficiaries of these programs. But not only that, they're always open to everybody. They're open to gay people. They're open to Asians, to Latinos. There has never been anything. They're open to immigrants. There's never been anything that has, any policies that have been put in place to do anything about the problem that white supremacy created when they kidnapped hundreds of thousands of black people and then forced them to work for free, building the wealth of this country. None has been done. And so what they're doing now is by roping coons, black coons, in to say, here's what has happened. It's a combination of things. One, white supremacy and white propaganda has convinced you that reparations is an impossibility. It can't happen. It will never happen. Right? And so you have that aspect going on. Then on top of that, you got black people, immigrants who are coming from other countries who do not want to associate with the black American poor community, who want to distance themselves from them. They don't want to help them. They don't want to be affiliated with them. And so they are essentially trying to do the whole model minority thing and show out for white people and say, look, we're the good blacks, we're different from them. And so, and then coons of all backgrounds are being roped into this narrative. Why? Because if black people start talking about black fatigue, well, then we will never address the reason why this small subset of the black population has some of the problems that it has, right? Like the crime, and things of that nature. Being loud is not a problem. Dancing is not a problem. The music we make is not a problem, because white girls twerk. White people love hip hop music, but they also have different outcomes in life. So it's not the music, it's not the way they dance, it's not the way they talk, it's not the way they do their hair, it's not the way they do their nails, it's not the way they fucking dress, dude. It's the socioeconomic realities of this community that has been birthed out of white supremacy that's caused a problem. White people don't want to address that. They don't want to pay what these people are owed. And that doesn't include me. It doesn't. This is for foundational black Americans. Those are the people who should receive money. Those are the people. And that's what will fix the wealth gap. If you don't want to get on that train, fine. But if you're black, please shut the fuck up. Do not engage in this coonery. Because these are people that are literally climbing out of a hole that they were thrown in historically. And so if you don't want to help, don't criticize them for the speed at which they climb out of that hole. If they can get you to say, oh, racism, slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, all the bullshit, the war on drugs, tough on crime bills, the over policing of black communities, the underfunding of schools, if they can get you to push this narrative that none of that is the reason why the black community is in the situation it is, this subset of the black community, the poorest of our brothers and sisters, which then of course leads to poor decision making and crime and things of that nature. If they can get you to say that, then they will never have to take accountability, and nothing will ever need to be done in order to rectify that. And so you just become a useful tool, a useful puppet.